Primates. Pokemon has a lot of them, but how do they fit on Pokemon's family tree? That's what I want to find out. Well, to start with, what makes a primate? What do the tiny bush babies and giant gorillas of the world have in common? The answer is their eyes. Somewhere around the time of the split with marsupials, most mammals lost the ability to see in all three colours, except for some primates, hence why we and other primates all use our eyes a lot more than other mammals. Think about it. Most other mammals, like a dog or a cat, are smell-based. Their nose is their dominant sensory organ. For us, it's our eyes, because our eyes are so much better than our nose. The second major feature of a primate is brain power. We might not act like it, but we are the mega minds of the animal world. Primate brains, while sounding like a really cool band, are also way larger than most other animals comparative to their size. Think about it, primates are some of the only animals to have developed and used tools, developed complex feelings, and were even aware enough to know that we are the smartest animals. However, without a doubt, the most important feature of primates are these, their thumbs. Quick side note here, I really struggle to pronounce any word that begins with TH and makes a kind of F kind of sound. It just does not work for me. I cannot hear the difference between them. I cannot say the difference between them. So if when I say the word thumb, is that correct? Thumbs? If that sounds weird, that's why. Anyone from the UK will probably remember the Cravendale advert where cats take over the world when they gain opposable thumbs. This is pretty much accurate. Thumbs allow you to do so much more than you normally can. An elephant might be ridiculously strong, but humans developed pointy sticks. The peregrine falcon is one of the fastest animals in the world, but doesn't mean anything to a jet engine or a Stinger missile. Thumbs allow us to do so much more that animals can't do. Animals can't take over the world if they can't tie their shoelaces, or play landslide on guitar, or do this to their friends. Anyway, back to the chart. Primates diverge from the previous group that we covered, Lemurs, something which you can kind of see through the rodent-like traits of lemurs. Lemurs are a brilliant example of geographic evolution. They are entirely endemic to the island of Madagascar, and this leads to them being very different from other animals. Every environment and climate has a different set of challenges that the animals there will evolve to. By being on such a distant island, animals tend to become a lot more specialized in different ways. Take Australia for example. The entire continent lacks large mammal carnivores. There are no lions, tigers, or bears to worry about, only the much smaller dingoes. Because of this, the animals here have evolved very differently. They don't need to be as large or strong or fast, but they have a different set of skills that they need, and most of these skills just happen to involve killing you instantly. It's the same in Madagascar. It's one of the most isolated and last settled places on Earth. The unique environment and the fact that it's so cut off means that a lot of animals that exist there don't exist anywhere else. The two lemurs of Pokemon are Grafaiai and Persimmon. Grafaiai in particular shares a lot of that rodent-like look to him. A similar story can be seen with Ambipom and the New World monkeys. The New World typically refers to the Americas and sometimes Australia. We can tell that Ambipom is some sort of New World monkey because they're known for their prehensile tails. This means that they use their tails sort of as a kind of limb. Ambipom literally does this as it has hands on the ends of its tails. Before I move on to the Old World monkeys, I want to clear up a small misconception. All apes are tailless, but not all tailless primates are apes. This is something Pokemon needs to learn, as when it comes to naming their primates, they don't do a very good job of it. Infernape, for example, is very clearly a monkey. When you consider its colours and its links to China, I think it might be a snub-nosed monkey. Another example of a poor name is Primate, who I think is a monkey, specifically a type of macaque along with monkey dory. I originally thought that maybe monkey dory is some sort of baboon because of this very distinct back colouring. If you know anything about baboons, it's that they have very red behinds, and the fact that monkey dory has this suggests to me that maybe it is some sort of baboon. I eventually went with it being a Japanese snow monkey, which is another type of macaque and a lot more in fitting with monkey dory's theming, considering it's from Japan. Primate and the Annihilate family, on the other hand, are British agents. Specifically a Barbary macaque. These type of monkeys are most commonly found in the Maghreb region of northern Africa in areas like Morocco and Algeria, specifically in the Atlas Mountains. However, they're most famous for being found in Gibraltar. If you don't know, Gibraltar is a British overseas territory and is a tiny little peninsula on the southern tip of Iberia. The monkeys there have quite a reputation. Like the British in Spain, they cause a lot of problems for the locals, specifically stealing a lot of things off them and being known for their bad tempers, kind of like Annihilate. They're also uniquely tied to the territory. For a long period of time, they were under British military protection, and there's even a legend that the British will remain in Gibraltar as long as the monkeys do. Whilst not really relevant to this tree, macaques were also the only monkeys available to the Romans. From this, we get the earliest forms of human anatomy, as macaques were often dissected by doctors like Claudius Galen, which suggests that the Romans had a lot of ideas on evolution, knowing that we were related to monkeys. The next monkey on the list would be Zarude, who is either a mandrill or a baboon. I don't know which, but it has a very unique facial structure that these two monkeys both share. Finally, for monkeys, I've included the elemental monkeys. I don't really know where to put these. They might be New World monkeys, especially when you consider that they're found in the Pokemon equivalent of the US, but I've just left them here. They're kind of generic, being based on the three wise monkeys rather than any particular animal. Before we move on to apes, I want to first cover a cryptid, Electivire. Whilst Electabuzz is a saber-toothed tiger, I'm only going off the final forms, and Electivire is really hard to place. It's based off things like a Sasquatch or a missing link or Bigfoot. I would consider these to come a lot later in the ape family tree, probably in that area between apes and humans. However, the fact that Electivire has tails, and two of them, suggests that maybe it comes earlier, so I've put it as an early offshoot of the ape branch. After this, we get the definitive great apes of the world. There's actually a trend with apes. As you come further away from monkeys, they become less arboreal, meaning that they live a lot more on the ground than they do in treetops. Oranguru is the first true ape, and it's very obviously an orangutan. They're the most distantly related from humans. And remember how I said about the uniqueness of Madagascar? Well, that also applies to Borneo and Sumatra in the East Indies, where orangutans are found. One thing that I found really odd was that Pokemon only has two gorillas, Rillaboom and Darmanitan. When you consider the ubiquity of gorillas in popular culture, it seems like they should have a lot more. Pokemon doesn't have a representative for humans' closest relative, the chimpanzee, however it does have Conkeldurr. In the Pokemon world, Conkeldurr is the missing link. It's the most ape-like of all the humanoid Pokemon. With its hunched shoulders and massive power, it's a lot like a gorilla. I've also included the Hitmons here, as whilst human-like, they are definitely distantly related from all other humanoid Pokemon. They're really weird looking, and I'd say that they're almost avian, especially Hitmonlee and Hitmontop. By this point, we've got to the Pokemon that are essentially human, and they're all fighting types. I've also put humans here as this is where they would be found, but I'm not 100% sure that humans evolved from Pokemon. Because we sometimes see regular animals in the Pokemon world, I like to think that Pokemon and animals and everything that exists normally are kind of running parallel. So our genealogical tree still exists, but in the Pokemon world, the Pokemon's family tree also exists. So those were the primates of Pokemon and how they fit together. If you have any changes or suggestions, please leave a comment. The next video will cover the ungulates and large mammals of the Pokemon world, things like cows and whales. If you've enjoyed this, please consider liking or subscribing. Thank you.